Real estate has been part of our texture and part of who we are since for as long as I can remember. I'm Judith Rivers with the Phyllis Browning Company and the Rivers team.
And I'm Dwaine Rivers with Phyllis Browning and the Rivers team.
The decision to sell a home is never easy. Even say you're moving and you have to sell a home, it's still not an easy decision to make. And there's so many emotions involved with that. But what made it so great to work with Judith and Dwaine is you get to feel their confidence in their ability to sell your home. And that really relieves a lot of tension. In just setting up the whole strategy on how to present our home and property, as well as how to stage it, how to price it, they paid attention to all the details. They made the paperwork process go so smoothly, I can hardly remember the details of it because it was so stress-free. We were selling a home that we lived in for 25 years, and so saying goodbye was not that easy to the home, but they really made it a joyful experience in looking forward to what we were doing in the next part of our life too.
So we had a house in Cordillera Ranch, and it was very large because we had a large family, and we decided that we wanted to downsize. So we had the house on the market for about 2 years. We had gone through 3 realtors, and the house just wasn't selling, and I was done. And so we decided, actually we were just going to give up, and then we thought, okay, let's call the Rivers team. We had heard about them, and give them a shot. So we talked to them, and they came in and worked literally magic and got the house sold.
Yeah, I think one of the most exciting and interesting parts of what we do is God gave us a lot of gifts, and I think that we look at this as somewhat of a ministry as opposed to just a business. You know, we would like to help people with our God-given gifts, but also help them with all of the emotions and every part of this that are hard. You know, there's some parts of it that are not fun. And we try to make that as painless as possible. And we just love the people. It's just about the people.
When I think of the word concierge, I think of staying in a fine hotel, and that person is there to make sure your experience is perfect. And really, if you can apply that term in real estate, I think the obvious people to apply it to are Judith and Dwaine Rivers.
Judith would walk through the home with me, literally room to room, and she would make suggestions about just casting her vision on how to stage the house in a way that would interest a buyer and basically have a way of us investing in our home, maybe even by throwing new paint on the cabinets. And that was what actually turned it around and brought in people that were interested in the home.
It's important to us for our sellers to understand that we're wanting to put their best foot forward and get the maximum amount of dollar for their property, and that starts at the very beginning when we sit down with them in a listing appointment and runs all the way through the photography, renegotiating the inspection, making sure all of the title work is done correctly, following through with the title company on taxes, all the way through to the closing.
You know, there's so many different parts to selling a home that I never even considered. And Judith and Dwaine really helped us understand what the process would look like going forward once we decide to sell our home. And actually staging our home and the photography process was so much fun. And the reason why it was fun is because I could actually work with Judith and understand what she was trying to accomplish in the way our home was presented. And it was really interesting because when we actually saw the pictures, my husband and I were like, wow, that's a beautiful home. We should buy that home.
So when Dwaine says that we're going to have an inspection of this home, he doesn't just mean he's hiring an inspector. He's literally meeting that inspector, and he is walking through every detail of that house. He's climbing on the roof with the guy. And so when we got notice of how the inspection went, we were comfortable and we really were confident that Dwaine, went over it with a fine-tooth comb.
So I think one of the things that our home building background brings to the table is our ability to look at the property before, if it's a listing, and go over items that are obviously needing to be addressed before the inspector comes in. Problem with inspections, they're usually fairly long, they can be fairly scary, and if you dissect them down, they're not, and they generally don't have a lot of items that are really important. And so we're able to navigate that, I think, better than just the real estate team that has just been realtors their whole life.
I would absolutely use no other word for them besides concierge. You know, concierge is about like the details and about really knowing your client almost more than they know themselves. And that's exactly who Judith and Dwaine are.
I know that my dad was instrumental in who I am today professionally. He had an amazing work ethic, and he loved people. And even though he's no longer with us, he is with me every day. And I think, what would Dad do? And he would treat people well, and he would communicate, he would take care of them. And I hope when people walk away from Dwaine and I, that's the feeling they have, is that we've taken good care of them and that we care about them and their family.
If you are buying or selling a house, I tell all of my friends that at least call the Rivers team and interview them, because if you don't, you are truly missing out. They will go to bat for you. They will roll up their sleeves along with you and work harder than you to get that job done. They're just truly good people.